Alright, so long story short, my laptop ended up breaking. I had actually recorded my review for Superman and Lois episode 6, and when I was editing it, my laptop just crashed, the hard drive failed in it, and then a cooling fan failed in it, so it was a whole thing. And I had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. videos planned, I had Arrow videos planned, I had a lot, and I essentially lost every single thing besides a couple bits I'd saved on a different hard drive. So yeah, there was about a month there where I didn't have a laptop at all, but now I have one again so I can get back into making videos. But because of that, I missed out on making videos and talking about any episode between 6 and 10. So there's 5 great episodes of Superman and Lois there where I just did not get to talk about them. I mean, it was hard because they were great episodes, and I just really wanted to talk about them. So this review is essentially going to be for the 5 of those episodes. So episode 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, which is the most recent. And after episode 11, which is next week, there's actually going to be another month break similar to the one between from March to May when Supergirl was on. So that's going to be annoying that we have that break, but once it comes back, we're going to have a straight run through of the final 4 episodes, I believe, until the show ends in the middle of August. But yeah, Superman and Lois, it's people need to watch this show, okay? It's definitely getting more attention than any of the other Arrowverse shows at the moment, but that's not a lot of attention, I'm not gonna lie. Sure, the streaming numbers are pretty good, but even then, they're not as good as they should be, in my opinion. They're not as good as this show deserves. While it's getting more attention than the usual Arrowverse show, it's definitely not getting the attention that a lot more prestige shows get, and that does kind of annoy me because, in my opinion, Superman and Lois really could not be doing much more to be better. Like, it is doing most things perfect. So you can argue it has some of the CW tropes, especially with Jonathan and Jordan, but I feel like they do a very good way of still getting past that. And it's not just CW that has those kind of drama tropes. A lot of shows have those drama tropes. The thing about Superman and Lois is, though, that they don't spend episodes on certain conflicts. They immediately resolve them in the same episode, and that is something that really needs to be shouted out and respected. Take Jonathan Kent, for example. He's been through the ringer so many times in this damn show. Like, he gets pushed around, he gets just all around, he's not having a great time. But he's still a great character. He's the most wholesome character on the show. Like, in the most recent episode 10, he just straight up told Sarah what was going on with her father and with her mother, and he was like, look, it's not your father's fault, it's not your mother's fault, this is all Morgan Edge, he's body snatching people and all that. And that was just really great, because any of the other shows, of the Arrowverse shows especially, would have had that be a thing that goes on for 7 or 8 episodes until she finally realizes. And in the case of some Arrowverse characters, cough cough Felicity and some other people in the Arrowverse, even when they'd find out that it wasn't Kyle or Lana's fault, they would have Sarah still kind of be angry at them, which is completely unjustified. Superman and Lois, you can tell it's not going to do that at all. So that's something that I really do love about this show. But things got serious very fast. Obviously, we now know John Henry Irons, or he was Captain Luthor, he was a stranger, but now he's John Henry Irons, is not the villain of this season. It is Morgan Edge after all, because at the beginning of the season, I was kind of thinking that they were going to have Morgan Edge be Lois's villain of the season, while Captain Luthor, who we thought he was at the time, was going to end up being Clark's villain of the season. But nope, they went in completely different directions. They made John Henry Irons, which is one of the coolest DC characters. And honestly, I was getting really into the character of Irons before they actually did the reveal, and then the reveal just made me like him so much more. He's probably the most badass character on the show, I'm not gonna lie. He's really cool. The moment where he says, "You're not the Man of Steel, I am," and he grabs the hammer is absolute perfection. I'm pretty sure that the prop they used for Steel's hammer is the same prop they used for Elseworlds, which was like the solar hammer or whatever they called it, the one that was in the Fortress of Solitude. Obviously, in universe, it's not the same hammer, but I'm pretty sure it's the same prop, just with a couple different stuff drawn on it, because it looks so damn similar. But yeah, he's just a great character. He's been gone since episode 7. And he's been gone since episode 8, and I'm expecting him to come back pretty soon, definitely before the end of the season, probably to help Clark fight Morgan Edge. Now let's talk about Morgan Edge real quick, because we got the big reveal that he is actually Clark's half-brother, who is the son of Zeta Row and Laura Lorvan, who's Clark's mother. That was a really interesting twist. A lot of people were kind of saying that he was going to end up being Hell, one of the characters from the New 52 of the Superman comics, which would make a lot of sense, because the whole 7-7-3-4 thing from earlier on in this season, showing that upside down says Hell, that would make a whole lot of sense if that was the same thing. I'm pretty sure Talro, which was the Kryptonian name the Morgan Edge has, I'm pretty sure that is a original character made for the show, but they're probably going to take bits and pieces from other characters and add them into this. So like, I don't think it's going to be a direct adaptation of Hell or anything, but I think we're going to have bits and pieces of the Hell comic book character thrown on top of that. Obviously on top of like the Morgan Edge stuff, which I was actually leaning toward the theory that it was going to end up being that this Morgan Edge was from Henry Irons' world, and he came over here when Henry Irons did, and all that sort of stuff. Because we still don't really know how Irons travelled to this Earth, other than the brief flashback we saw with the huge red light. I know a lot of people thought that was a tease, that was actually Crisis happening, and he crossed over from there. Like the big red reflection we saw was the antimatter wave that was going to destroy that universe. I'm not entirely sure that's the case. I feel like we're gonna find out very soon what that was. When I saw that, I was thinking it was Irons flying like Superman into a sun or whatever, or some kind of red sun related thing. I'm not entirely sure now. I'm hoping we'll actually get definitive confirmation on what that was about, but at the moment I'm still going on the theory that we don't actually know how Irons traveled to this Earth. But yeah, Morgan Edge, his backstory part was really cool. It does make me wonder if pre-Crisis, where we had the other version of Morgan Edge, played by General Talbot from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it makes me wonder if that version of Morgan Edge was also Talro, or if that, like in the pre-Crisis universe, just Morgan Edge had nothing to do with the Kryptonians at all, and he was just, corporate billionaire Morgan Edge, the straight-up comic book version of him, whereas this is a more crazy take, a more take that fits Superman and Lois, I want to say. His costume looks amazing. So now we know that Morgan Edge or Talro and Leslie Lar are the only Kryptonians left on that side of things, considering that Clark did a solar flare using the Eradicator and took all that away, which the Eradicator is also a really cool shout out to the Death of Superman arc, where we had the 4 Supermans stand up to take over when Clark was dead. The Steel was one of them, the Eradicator was another, and then 2 others which we may see at some point, but I feel like that the Eradicator is not going to be just that machine that ends up we get rid of and we don't see again. I feel like that's definitely setting up for something future that is probably going to be more along the lines of the Eradicator from the comics, so that could be very cool. And also Lana taking on Laura Lorvan's subconscious into her head, or Laura Lorvan's life into her head, or whatever, which also was kind of a shout out to Lana being Superwoman in the comics, I guess. That's probably more of a stretch of a tie, but I feel like it is indirectly, considering they made Lana be the one to take on Laura Lorvan's brain, I feel like it makes sense that that's a shout out to the Superwoman from the comics. But that was also great. I loved how Clark and Lara got a little bit to talk. They got to see each other again, which was fantastic. Sam Lane has also really improved himself the last couple of episodes. I thought that I didn't hate the character, but he was kind of getting a little bit tedious, where every episode was just Lois kind of shouting at him for something almost, which it was warranted. He deserved to get shouted at. He was making some stupid decisions, but I like how he's definitely been brought kind of back around now to a character that we can kind of sympathize with again. So that was great. Lois is still fantastic. She's definitely really, 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 really quickly rising up to be one of my favorite adaptations of the character. There's not a lot more you can really do to improve the character that they're showing us at the moment of her. She's great. Kyle has also been heavily improved. He was a character that definitely very frustrating at the start, but I kind of understood him, and he just kind of got a little bit better, a little bit more sympathetic, on, and the reveal of him having a Kryptonian inside of him, where he just used the speed to grab Lois and Jonathan, was terrifying, and it just all around, it means that Kyle is going to have a very interesting story arc now, assuming that the Kryptonian consciousness is gone from his head. It's going to be very interesting to see what he does now. It's going to be very interesting to see if he sticks around till next season. It's going to be cool to see where they go with him from here, if he's going to have a new arc, if he's going to just kind of have some messed up PTSD from the whole thing. I think it's going to be very cool anyway. But they said that last episode was like written like a final, and they forgot that they had 5 episodes left, and it's very noticeable. Other than the Morgan Edge Leslie Lar stinger at the end, you could very much see this as being a season final. So huge shout out to the show for kind of making just a random episode feel like a season final. And next week we're actually going to see the return of the Flesher suit from the pilot. We're going to see the return of that for a lot of flashbacks to the early years of Clark. I'm wondering if this is going to be a thing they do every year now, where similar to how Arrow had an episode around the middle of the season that would be almost flashback centric, like in season 1 episode 14, which is called The Odyssey, was flashback centric. Season 2 episode 15 was called The Promise, was flashback centric. Did the same in season 3. They kind of skipped it in season 4. They brought it back in season 5 for episode 17, which was Capuchon. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I'm wondering if they're going to do the same with Superman and Lois here, where they kind of have around episode 11 every season is a flashback to the early years of Clark. Like this year we're getting to see year 1 of Superman. Maybe next year episode 11 can essentially be the flashbacks to year 2 of Superman, which is very cool. And Perry White is returning. We saw him in the pilot and he's coming back next week, and then unfortunately we have a break after that. But I'm so excited to see next week's episode. I'm just so excited to see where all of this goes. I'm just loving the show. Like, I don't really know what to say more. Some of the standout scenes, I guess, that I didn't get to talk about from the last couple episodes. The stand down scene from episode 6, where Clark kind of gets shot with kryptonite bullets, and then he super speeds at the guards, was really, really, really cool. Or the soldiers, was really cool. Episode 8 had a bunch of great scenes. Bitsy Tulloch's acting as Lois was absolutely phenomenal, where we found out that Natalie was the name she was going to call Clark and her's original daughter, but they had a miscarriage, and that was absolutely just brutal, those scenes. She absolutely killed it. Probably the best acting we've seen in the show, and likely the best acting we've seen in the Arrowverse in a while anyway. I'm not going to say overall, but it's I think her scenes in episode 8 are top 10 Arrowverse acting of all time. She was absolutely fantastic. Sarah's scene where she was singing and Jordan was doing the piano, that was really, really, really nice. And I don't know, this show is just it's so good. I've been thinking in my head about where I would actually rank it in my Arrowverse seasons. I think it'll no doubt get into my top 5 at least. But the thing is that Arrow season 1, 2, and 5, then Flash season 2, and Legends of Tomorrow season 2, they're my 5 perfect Arrowverse seasons, where I just almost every single episode in those seasons is one that I absolutely love. And I'm trying to think which one of those seasons is going to have to bite it to make room for Superman and Lois in my top 5. And I mean, if Superman and Lois keeps up this quality every year, it's going to be pretty impossible to have any other Arrowverse show in my top 5 that isn't Superman and Lois. Although Arrow is probably going to have to stay in there, because I feel a little bit dirty if I just take Arrow out for Superman and Lois, because Arrow has been my show for so long. It's still my favorite show of all time. I don't know how I'm gonna in a couple of years, when there's a bunch of Superman and Lois seasons, how I'm gonna stack them against Arrow seasons, because I've got such an emotional connection to that show. But yeah, how are you feeling about Superman and Lois at the moment? How did you feel about those 5 episodes? Did you love them? Did you hate them? And if you don't watch Superman and Lois, I don't know why you would have watched this if you didn't, but if you don't watch it yet, please do. It's absolutely fantastic, and it really does deserve your attention. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and all of that, and I hope you have a great day.